Welcome back. We'll be continuing today our discussion about the graph of a quadratic function in the form of f of x equals ax squared plus c. Our central question is, how does the value of c affect the graph of f of x equals ax squared plus c? Recall we learned previously that the value of a will make our graph into a vertical stretch or a shrink and or a reflection about the x-axis compared to our parent graph of x squared. Today we will keep in mind how a affects the graph and now look at what happens with a value plugged in for c. So let's look at our first example. So we want to look at when c is greater than 0. So when c is bigger than 0, our new graph moves up whatever the value of c is compared to our parent graph. This will be called a vertical translation c units up. So let's look at f of x equals x squared plus 2. Notice our c is plus 2 or positive 2. So that's going to move our graph up 2 units from our parent graph. Our parent graph here was in red. Its vertex was at 0, 0. When we added the plus 2 at the end, it moved our graph up 2 units. And so now our vertex is 0 plus 2. So adding 2 or adding a number will just move our graph up. What happens when c is less than 0? When c is less than 0, our new graph moves down the value of c. It's called a vertical translation, c units down. Again, c is whatever the amount or value for c is. Let's look at f of x equals x squared minus 2. So now we're subtracting 2. Our parent graph was here in red. Our new graph is 2 units below that. So subtracting 2 moves our new graph 2 units down. So we move 2 units down compared to our parent graph. Adding will move it up. Subtracting will move it down. And this will all still take place while A is doing what we talked about previously, either shrinking, making it thinner or wider, which we talked about in terms of a vertical stretch or a vertical shrink. Using this combined with that information, I want you to solve today's assignment. I want you to tell me, without graphing, determine if the following functions are a vertical stretch, a vertical shrink, a reflection, or a vertical translation compared to our parent graph A, which is x squared, and how many units. That shouldn't say unity, but it says units. So looking at x squared minus 5, how is it moving compared to our parent graph? We will be looking at our c. Notice the value for a is 1. On number 2, similarly, our value for a is still 1, but how did adding 3 move our graph? Now we have, for number 3, negative 0.5 for our value of x. For our value of a. And we are adding 2 for our value of c. Using your notes, I want you to tell me which way are these graphs moving. Don't forget to do your summary back at the end of the page. And then get your assignment and let's move forward.